What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. Dean 7804 if you want to get all technical on me. MLB DFS, 2 hours of non-stop MLB DFS conversation starting right now, taking you all the way up the lock, all the way up the first pitch. Happy Friday. Joined today by Kid Yahoo, Kirkwood, who may or may not be debuting the gutless power rankings. He's been working on it all day. He's been grinding the tape. He's been looking at the film, digging into the stats. Possibly, maybe we get the gutless power rankings. No full promises. They're still in beta. But Kirkwood, where are we at right now? Could you give me like a percent chance where we're at as far as giving the people the gutless power rankings today?
About as good of a chance as Coors getting rained out on a Friday evening.
Well, then, so it's 100%. It's happening.
No, that's only, this is only one Friday.
Okay, but you're saying, all right, so then now I don't feel so. Squirrel, are you following that? Maybe
it's somewhere between 0 and 100% is what he's saying.
Exactly.
One of the greatest DFS players of all time, Squirrel Patrol, joins us as well. Just read your article, Squirrel's Nuts, a few minutes before the show started. We do have to cross off Coors. Coors is not playing baseball today. That will be the Rockies and the Mariners. Really, I guess it was probably a combination of potential rain and just really, really cold, probably the 30s or so. So cross that one off the list. That definitely flips these slates on its head. Now we're down to 9 games, Squirrel. We're just digesting this information. Your first thought when it comes to crossing out Coors. We're going to get a new batch of ownership, obviously. I just saw on Lineup HQ, they just kicked out all the players. Ownership will be coming in shortly as well. But, what is your initial thought now that we lost Coors Field?
Yeah, my initial thought is I need to cross off that stuff in my article, about, we've got a Coors Field slate. I need to cross off all those guys on my expert rankings. But, beyond that, I don't know how much of an impact it is. And, I think if this was an August game, right, or not, it might be a little bit different with the August weather in Coors Field. I was actually thinking, prior to jumping on the show, just about a half hour ago, that it's a strange Coors Field slate because I don't think people were all that excited to play the game, mostly because of the weather, right? So the teams were getting a little bit of a bump up in terms of what you would expect in a different park, but not as the full Coors Field effect. And now it's something we don't have to worry about. But I don't know that it was going to see the kind of ownership we would have seen on a regular Coors Field slate.
I should clarify, I am being corrected in the chat. It is hitting the nuts, of course. I don't know why I'm making it Squirrel's Nuts, but I mean, close enough. We're close enough to the pin, I suppose. But cross off Seattle, cross off Colorado. We do have a free Friday giveaway. What is today's free Friday giveaway? Every single Friday, we want to give away one free piece of RG content. I just went ahead and dropped it in the chat for the people. Today, it is the Fantasy Pick'em tool for Prize Picks, for Underdog, for DraftKings Pick 6. Go ahead, have at it. In the chats. Also, if you're in the chats, do hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Do all those things that help us keep the lights on. We do appreciate that. We hit a certain number of likes. We'll hand out the homers to the people later on in the show. Big sports weekend. I know there's no UFC. You guys are probably both bummed about that. No UFC this weekend. But the start of the hockey playoffs. My Panthers on Sunday afternoon take on the Lightning. Love the hockey playoffs for sure. Basketball playoffs starting as well. My Heat are playing for the right to lose to Kirkwood's Celtics. They're lame ducks.
You said this last season. You're trying to do the thing again. I see.
But this time they got no. It's over. It's over. It's not happening. Boston's better and Miami's worse. And they're playing tonight against the Bulls and the right to get swept by Boston. But are you not feeling good about your Celtics? You're doing kind of a reverse Bush kind of thing.
I mean, this team is great. It's a great team. I honestly think they should breeze through everybody and win. But I've been dealing with this team for the last couple of years. I think it's different this year. But you're always one injury away too, as well. And we'll see if Tatum will step up.
Yeah. I mean, the East is so much weaker than the West as well, and I do think there's a chance New York is just better than we think they are, and the additions they made. Scroll saying no.
Yeah, like Philadelphia in that series. I like Philadelphia maybe as a sleeper team in the East, but I think it's like Boston's.
Uh-oh. Producer Steve is not happy. He's not happy with you.
Knicks in 5.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong playing your guys 47.5 minutes every game in the regular season. And then, you should only get better in the playoffs. I do want to get a Miami take on, because I think Jaime Jaquez versus Caleb Martin versus Haywood Highsmith could be one of the keys to the slate. Is Duncan Robinson in play? Any kind of Miami insider takes on the DFS slate?
So I was trying to build some teams, and I wasn't really sure if I have time to play baseball and basketball, but I do think if you're going for it and you're ready to take a zero, Duncan Robinson is the really, really interesting one. And Chicago is the perfect opponent for him. Catch and shoot threes. That's how you beat Chicago. And, Spo gave some positive words, but Duncan Robinson come off that DNP-CD. He's not stone minimum. I think he's 4-3 on DK. And I made one lineup because I had I got a free ticket into something, whatever. And I don't know if I put him in there or not, but he was in my pool. I was thinking about it. I feel really good about Jaquez. I think Jaquez is fine. Martin should be fine. I'm a little bit concerned about Jovic. I don't feel great about that, but I would put some rules in there for sure. You don't want to have 3 of those guys, but if you're feeling most ambitious, I was looking at the sports books and I thought, so if a guy doesn't play, right, it's a wash, right? If he plays 0 minutes, it's a wash. And I was thinking, I was trying to bet overs on Duncan Robinson because I think if he plays more than he's projected to play. You know what I mean? So I saw it was 1.5 as far as threes. Jump in here, Scroll. You got something to say?
I've seen him projected as a starter. I don't know if we've got him projected as a starter or not. But I think there is a chance he goes from DNP-CD to starting to be a small forward for the Miami Heat in the playoffs. And I agree. The Chicago thing is interesting. I forgotten about that until I was comparing Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero in the expert survey. Chicago gives up a ton of threes. They give up the least amount of points in the paint of any team in the league. So it's a Duncan Robinson potential game. We'll see what happens.
And Spo is the smartest coach in the league, or he's certainly on the podium. So it wouldn't surprise me. We're currently projecting Hero, Martin, Jaquez, Jovic, Adebayo. This is not a basketball show, but whatever. We're here for an hour plus, and you got Carty coming in, you got Cheese coming in as well. TJ will be hosting Crunch Time in an hour plus or so. But that's the thing, though. If Robinson is starting, of course he's going to all of a sudden become super chalk. But I think the move is hope that he's not starting, and then if you have the nuts, if you have the sack to go ahead and be over the field on Robinson, because I just think he's really, really hard to project. Wouldn't shock me if he starts. Okay. Again, we lost the Colorado game. No Seattle. If you guys are just joining us now, producer Steve has dropped a poll for the people. Who's winning tonight for the play-ins? Bulls, Kings, Bulls, Pels, Heat, Kings, Heat, Pels. I think the Heat still find a way to beat Chicago. I'm a sucker for the Heat culture stuff, and the Bulls perennially they ought to just call in they just call the play-in tournament the Chicago Invitational. They're just going to be in that tournament every single year indefinitely. But yeah, I don't know if it's kind of chalky, but I'll take Heat Kings. Anybody disagree with me? All right. The chat, by the way, has Bulls Kings at 64%. So the chat certainly disagrees with me. Give me the slate overview here, Squirrel. We have some good pitching, which is not some, at least we think we do. Freddie Peralta's been spectacular. Joe Ryan's been good. We've seen some upside, especially against the Detroit team. Same matchup, running it back. Chris Sale, just as long as he's healthy, he's been awesome. Blake Snell has not been good. He's kind of sputtered. We got that's the Scott Boras Invitational, right? Isn't that his two clients facing each other? Yeah. Montgomery versus Snell. Both those guys got paid. The debut for Montgomery, also a debut tonight for Justin Verlander. Both those guys, I would imagine we don't get a full allotment of pitches. I saw 80 to 85 was the projection on Verlander. Flaherty's been pretty good this year as well, taking on Minnesota, a team that willing to strike out. But yeah, give me the overview here, Squirrel. We'll throw it to Kirkwood in a second as well for his thoughts.
Sure. Verlander's not on the slate though, but yeah, the big debuting, but not on the slate. I think, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good call.
Okay. So, but I mean, it's it's still baseball, right? So yeah, it was shaping up as a Coors Field slate where we weren't maybe that high on Coors Field, but I think people were selling themselves on the idea of, oh, I'm going underweight the chalky Coors stack. I don't know how chalky it was going to be. Now we just have the rest of the stacks. And we do, we have some good starting pitchers. We have Joe Ryan, Freddie Peralta, like guys can get strikeouts, Chris Sale, and some cheaper pitchers I think are in good spots. You mentioned Jack Flaherty. I like him. I like Clark Schmidt, I think is a cheaper pitcher that we can potentially get to. I think Blake Snell is not going to see a lot of ownership. I don't know that I want to roster him either, but I do think if you're doing like a bunch of lineups, you probably have to go there. In terms of the stacks, I really like the Yankees, but it's still a slate where we have 18 teams are in play. I like the Yankees. I like Oakland too. And so I think it's going to be slate specific, slate dependent. And yeah, I mean, it's baseball. We have no idea what's going to happen.
We currently have Snell at 10% ownership on DK. Yeah, and it's the old Robbie Ray rule that Cheese, I'm sure we'll talk about, but I don't think he's going to play Snell either. He just, he does not have those efficient innings. We haven't seen him stretch last time he just got his face punched in too, was he didn't throw more than like 85 pitches or so, or maybe not even get to the 80s, I don't think. But, he walks too many guys. Arizona is not the easiest matchup. Of course, the ballpark's pretty good. Kirkwood, what is your overview as far as the slate? What are you seeing?
Pretty much the same. The slate got dropped on its head. I think we have like two clear pitching options that should be an absolute chalk with Peralta and Joe Ryan. I also like Jack Flaherty. Now, does it scare me to play Jack Flaherty a little bit? Yeah, it does. But he's coming off of this same matchup, which you could say is good or bad, but he had his secondary stuff working, which is big for him, and his fastball velocity is still okay. He's still like in like the 94 range, so I'm good with him. And because it's his slider and and his curve, so that they're grading out really good in his last start. So I'm good with him. I got more convinced as the day, eventually in the beginning I was like, if Flaherty's going to be any chalky, I really don't want to play this, but I've come around and I'm fully on board. I like Schmitty, like Squirrel does. And then, I would like Tristan McKenzie if he didn't have a torn ligament. Like if he wasn't playing through injury this whole time. Now it's making me like the A's a lot. So yeah, there's plenty of ways we can go. And the slate doesn't change that much without Coors. It's like we still have high end, like it's still Atlanta is still like the premier stack, and it's still hard to fit them. Nothing has changed there. It's not like NBA where we get a bunch of value because this game is postponed. So the slate is, we still have good spots. We've got the Yankees in a good spot. Orioles are priced nicely with some upside against Alec Marsh, who's that can't, honestly, he wouldn't strike head chopper out. I would bet the house on that one. If you put Chop, give the Chop bat, send him out there, he's gonna put the ball in play against Alec Marsh. So Dean, is this amateur hour or am I
Chop's got a little bit of a Luis Ariz in him. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, no, Chop's an athlete first and foremost, right? So you put him up there, and yeah, still that's what you guys you don't get.
I didn't even know Chop played baseball, to be honest. But that's just your point that's how bad the pitching option is. But speaking of, Chop actually might be able to do something against Tristan McKenzie. Yeah, I love picking at Oakland too, and it's funny you mentioned that. Myself and Squirrel were talking pre-show, and I know not to give everything away in his article, but he was talking about Oakland, and it's small sample stuff. But on the season, 13 innings for McKenzie. He's got an 8.1% strikeout rate. 8.1%. That's just unacceptable. His walk rate is twice as high. More than twice as high, 19.4%. His ERA is 6.23, and his SIERA is even higher at 7.78. He's giving up too many fly balls. He's been lucky to only get beat up to 6.23 as far as the ERA. Left on base percentage is only 59%, and he's got a 6.23 ERA. I know it's Oakland, but I like some Oakland as well too. And like maybe McKenzie's just not right? they got to figure it out. But he's pitching injured, and I just not on that side. I bet Oakland scoring more than 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings, which, betting Oakland overs is never exciting, but that's kind of where I'm at as well. By the way, weather-wise, we got an update for weather and really nothing else to monitor with Seattle and Cleveland being washed away. I'll go ahead and drop this in chat for the people if you want to take a look, but it's just some greens. Green for the Yankees, green for Minnesota. Looks like the winds are blowing out with gusts of around 30 miles per hour. That said, temperatures are in the 40s. So, yeah, you got to hit the ball for one. And we have 2 pitchers that are probably going to compile a fair bit of strikeouts. And, the wind is good, but the temperature is bad. I was looking at some weather edge stuff. I think Kansas City was another place. Just all around, it's pretty cold and just not great hitting weather. Let me give a refresh because I was liking Baltimore a fair bit today, which I'm sure we'll talk about. We talk about stacks good enough. In a 71-game sample, 59 degrees is the temperature. Winds kind of coming in from left to first. 30% decrease in homers, 16% decrease in runs with that 59 degrees as far as the temperature in Kansas City. Minnesota, Detroit, we've never seen this kind of weather. There's a 1-game sample on it. So really nothing you can do with that. It's seen a spike in homers at 93%, but again, that's a 1-game sample. I would not,
No. Bobby Gomes said that is absolutely accurate.
Well, who pitched and who hit in that game? That's what I want to know. Can you tell me?
He doesn't care. It's what Weather Edge says.
But it's one
because
game,
he wanted to,
right?
Because it worked for him in the last lineup he made. It worked, and so he's gonna stick by it. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, he says Chop would K looking. Chop would just stand in the box and try to get a walk, I suppose. But Bobby's chiming in, hanging out there in chat as well. Squirrel, did you jump out and jump back in? Did I miss something? I believe you're still.
I did, yeah. I don't know what happened. I thought you froze, and I'm sitting there making fun of you for being frozen. And then Kirkwood's like frozen too, and I get the spinning wheels. I'm like, oh, it's me, Then
yeah,
so I don't know, no idea what happened.
You're like
there.
these two idiots.
Yeah.
When you see Kirkwood frozen too.
Yep.
I thought producer Steve was getting creative with the shots or something like that, but no, that's not what was going on. Hopefully, it was just a little blip, and we're good to go. Yeah. We did get a refresh as far as ownership, 5-11, so we threw the Colorado stuff out. Didn't really affect the pitching, obviously, when it comes to ownership. Like you guys talked about, it's pretty clear as far as the best arms, and I think you can kind of make it work. Squirrel, the other day and kind of throughout the week, and every site's different, but like yesterday, it's just get me like 10 points and whatever. But I feel like we actually have some real pitchers on the mound in Ryan and Peralta. Peralta's in incredible form, taking on a Cardinals team that I'm not privy. I was not privy to see the gutless power rankings, but I would project the Cardinals to be on the gutless power rankings. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not trying to manipulate the judges in any way.
Well, all right, here you go. Here you go. We're gonna give a taste.
A tease?
Definitely, a tease, a taste, whatever you want to say here. They are definitely in the gutless rankings.
Can you tell me this? The gutless power rankings, is it just with teams on the slate, or the entire league is open to being gutless tonight?
The entire league is open for being gutless tonight. Just who it's who is gutless. And let me tell you something. The Dodgers are not out of it. The Dodgers are not out of it after they're losing 2 of 3 to the Nationals this week. So they're making a strong move up the rankings.
Others receiving votes, the Dodgers possibly. We'll see. Stay tuned. We'll get that later on in the show. So, Squirrel, no surprise. Ryan, 41%, Peralta, 32%, Flaherty at 25%. I think it's pretty clear, that those are the guys. Sale is also right there, too, taking on Texas. Texas, pretty good offense. But, Sale's been spectacular. Schmidt, you guys mentioned at 16% is the next guy. Yamamoto not getting much ownership. He's just hasn't really shown the ability to go deep in games just yet, but the Ks have been real. I think he's interesting for tournaments, much like you said, Snell, interesting for tournaments. Kyle Gibson is never interesting, but they'll let him throw a bunch of pitches and he can go 6 in theory. Where are you going to be at as far as ownership when it comes to these top arms? As of right now, this stuff is in flux. I'm sure you're still kind of figuring it out. But any big stands amongst Ryan, Peralta, Flaherty, Sale?
No, I don't think I want to make a major stand on pitching. I agree that we've got some high upside pitchers. So it's not a situation where I think, oh, you want to like fade Joe Ryan. That's key to the slate. I think you can make a ton of money, just zero, X amount. Or like I'm not doing anything like that. I do think, maybe if you're using Joe Ryan, using Freddie Peralta, especially if you're using that kind of combination on DraftKings, maybe you want to, put a little effort in to make sure like you're stacked. You've got some lower owned hitters on that lineup. But I'm not going to be trying to like avoid top pitchers at all. I do think there's maybe an argument you want to be, if you're doing a bunch of lineups, you want to maybe be under the field. Like I think those guys could see a little bit higher ownership than they should. And I just think we're seeing all pitching be so unpredictable and so untrustworthy these days that I do think like until further notice, I'm probably going to try to go a little bit under the field on these highest owned pitchers, particularly like the expensive highest owned pitchers.
Do you know what you're playing tonight, by the way, as far as how many lineups we're concentrating on a bunch of 150 or 25? What's the strategy?
I'll probably do 150, like do the biggest, largest field contest on both FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah, I saw they had the $3 one. Is that still in play? Yeah, it hasn't sold out just yet. Hour and a half till first pitch. The mega mini max on DK, $3 to enter. Feel free to jump in there. Kirkwood, one main lineup. What are we doing tonight as far as lineups this evening?
Yeah, every day I've got a one lineup on DK and one on Yahoo. I'm in the weeds with my kid, man. So it's hard for me. Every day I'm like, okay, today's gonna be the day, but I'm just like too tired. It's crazy. But so I got my main lineups going, and hopefully it'll be a good night.
All right. And your thoughts? Have you honed in on your two starting pitchers, or it's just like you're going to get your stacks first, and it's going to be two amongst these 4 or 5? You kind of.
I'm not worried about. I think pitching is pretty. In my single entry, I want who I can count on. I think Joe Ryan is clearly the number one play because of the price, a little bit different. Peralta, if I can get him good, I'm fine with Flaherty. I'm fine with both of those pitchers against each other, and then hoping that a bunch of the field doesn't actually play them against each other. Yeah, and then Yahoo is where it gets a little interesting at pitcher tonight, but because they got.
You want to touch on Yahoo? I know there's some Yahoo specific players.
They got Montgomery priced at min price over there, so Jordan Montgomery. So I gotta make up my mind if I want it. $25, but make up my mind if I want to go there or not.
Yeah, we're getting full price.
There's a lot of unknowns, pitch count, whatnot. But yeah, but pitching, I've been all over today, and I agree with what most of you guys said. I would not touch Blake Snell tonight, although Arizona was popping in my gutless rankings the other day. But
really.
Only it's where I lost money, but
so the gutless power rankings that they're heavily influenced by
heavily weighted by my wallet. That
so
has
maybe
the highest
teams that actually
weighting.
are gutless that you never played. You just kind of ignore those teams.
Well, so if a team is you're not expecting much out of a team, they're not gutless when they don't perform. So like that's fine. Like Oakland, anything is a bonus when you got Oakland going, right? Like the Marlins, anything is a bonus. But gutless centers around like the Phillies, the Padres, the teams like that, like St. Louis, like you said, Seattle. That's where the gutless rankings have come from.
Mr. Gerg wants to know how gutless Toronto is.
Toronto is in the
entire
mix.
list away.
Toronto is definitely in the mix. They're starting to hit a little bit, but they're definitely in the mix.
What about Minnesota? Is Minnesota good enough to be gutless?
Yeah, so they are. They are because they do have some big names like Buxton, and they've been flirting. I included them in the list. Although we do expect K's, we also expect like them to hit for power and stuff, but they're there. They're there. It was a tough call, and I'm open to actually, eliminating them if we, I'm always open to other people's suggestions that I respect. The industry Squirrel definitely is somebody I'm open to hearing from. Dean, not so much, but yeah. So we'll discuss.
Did you intentionally omit Boston?
Yes, because I have zero expectation of them. Their lineup is dog water. Like and everyone's hurt.
Bad.
Like Story's hurt. O'Neal's hurt. It's like even their good hitters are hurt. So I have zero expectation. I mean, you look at the bottom of that lineup they roll out. I mean, Connor Wong is. I mean, Duran is good, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, Endeavors, but he's hurt. He's hurt right now.
It's not good for Boston. By the way, one extreme pitchers umpire expected, and the people like the extreme umpire data for Freddie Peralta, an extreme pitchers umpire for Freddie and for Kyle Gibson. Nobody else as far as extremes. We didn't get the full. All the umpires not yet determined, and all the umpires sometimes, every once in a while, on occasion, when the series is brand new, this stuff will change. But this is what we have as of right now. Yeah, that's about the Rockies being gutless. The Rockies, they're not good enough to be gutless. We assume no guts. So yeah, there's really no. Life is about expectations.
Although the Rockies at Coors could be a special caveat when they're home game. If we take the home games only, if we want to count them, I'm open to what the people think. Let me know in chat. This is just the beginning, and then we're gonna keep them rolling all season long.
Still waiting for some more lineups to come on through. I saw Arcia got a jump in the lineup there for Atlanta, batting in the 2-hole. David Fletcher is hitting 9th. No Guillerme. Fletcher, pretty terrible, but he's cheap if you like Atlanta. Atlanta's got a team total about 5.5 against Andrew Heaney. Other lineups we're waiting on. We'll cross out Seattle and Colorado. The West Coast stuff we don't have just yet. No Toronto, no San Diego, no Mets. No Dodgers, no Diamondbacks, no Giants. But as always with the Dodgers, especially when they're facing a lefty, just understand they're probably going to start Kike Hernandez. They're probably going to start Chris Taylor. Those guys are really, really vulnerable to the hook if the situation calls for it. Andy Pajes seems to be the one that's more likely to stick around. The prospect, I think they're going to give him a fair look as well. All right. What else is going? Oh, the chat's asking about Rodriguez as a DK SB2, and if you want to open some stuff up, open up some salary. Yariel Rodriguez against the potentially gutless Padres. He's 5K, and we don't have a lot of data on him. From Cuba, he pitched over in Asia as well, but he's mostly stretched out, and he's 5K, and he's facing the Padres. And if we can eat 12 points out of him, Squirrel, you have a thought as far as Yariel Rodriguez?
Nothing like specific for Rodriguez, but I do like the idea of spending down a pitcher like that, especially on DK with the SB2, right? Because that's a situation when you get those 4K, 5K guys that, are just stepping into the starting rotation or whatever the case may be. They don't have to do a lot to pay off that seller. And they can get you some interesting combinations. And just if they go out and have a decent game, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, that's suddenly enough. And they often see very, very low ownership. So yeah, I'm generally in favor of that kind of play.
He is the best, cheapest option, right? Like if I was going to ask your favorite pitcher, 6.5 and under, is it him or is it somebody else?
Let's see. Favorite pitcher, 6.5. There's not a ton of guys under 6.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Yariel a little bit below Dean Kramer and Joe Boyle, to be honest. So, obviously Yariel Rodriguez is cheaper than those guys, but he's not a ton cheaper than those guys. I do have him ahead of Heaney and Tyler Alexander, though.
You got a thought another Kirkwood as far as your cheapest SP2 option if you have to step all the way down? We got Flaherty at 7.7, so he feels a lot better than the next group, and it's not that much more expensive to get Flaherty. Gibson, he's not great, but I think this Milwaukee offense is a little bit fraudulent. They're without Christian Yelich as well. The ballpark's pretty good to pitch in. I don't really want to play Gibson, but I think he's a guy that can get a quality start. He's a professional pitcher, right? Not going to mow down the entire Milwaukee lineup, but probably doesn't get his face fully punched in. I would play him before Marsh. Kramer is okay, right? He hasn't been great this year, but whatever. Heaney, I don't really want to pick on Atlanta. Did you have a thought here, Kirkwood, as far as your, if you have to step all the way down? We got Schmidt at 7.9. It's just not that much more is the argument against it for me to get somebody you feel, at least I feel, a little bit better about.
So with Rodriguez, the price, it's just all about the price. I get it. I'll give a couple of warnings on him. He's essentially a 2-pitch pitcher because he's got like a sweeper slider that's good. That's good. That's his K pitch. And then he's got like a fastball that's like a cutter fastball. Those are basically all he relies on for the most part that he has working for him at this point in time. So against Colorado, that probably works, outside of cores. The Padres, though they're gutless, I don't think that really works too well. So I like the idea of it, and I think he's definitely worth it for the price, and he may just improve here. But and you're not getting a huge pitch count, and you don't need much. But I certainly want to play some Padres bats, even though whether they are on the gutless rankings or not in this spot.
How many likes do we need to get those gutless power rankings, Kirkwood? I don't know where we're at as far as likes right now. We got to give the people some homers as well. I'm sure y'all got a couple. You got some Juggalo bombs on layaway for the people. I got some Dean's Dongs. I have one for sure. I feel pretty good about it. I like the odds, if nothing else. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But how many likes do we need to get the official gutless power rankings? What's a fair number?
We're gonna tailor it to this show and start it from today. So we'll us three will agree on the gutless rankings, and we'll start them going forward. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah, Squirrel, you in for that?
Sure. Yeah. Honored to be part of the
process. He's excited.
It is palpable. You can hear the excitement in his voice. And we'll listen to the chat too, whatever the chat has to say, right? I'm sure they'll be chiming in.
Correct.
They are the fourth vote.
Juggalo Nation gets first priority. Just gonna throw that out there, but
Well, I mean, I have a wrench. Does somebody, if you're a part of Juggalo Nation, what do you have next to your name to let other people know that you're a part of Juggalo Nation, or you just know who they are by name?
You know what? That's a good point. Maybe we need a avatar. Maybe we need an avatar for the crew here. See us all at the top of tournaments on DK. Like, who are these guys?
By the way, Rodriguez just projected to throw 70 pitches, which, again, it's kind of built into the price. That's not spectacular. We mentioned Montgomery before, and that's more of a Yahoo issue. I can't imagine playing Montgomery at 9.2K and DK. That's ridiculous. 79 pitches, this is projection, and Snell at 81. We just haven't really seen him fully ramped up. And 81 pitches for Snell is like, I don't know, maybe 3 innings sometimes, if you're lucky, if he's efficient by his standards. All right. Just trying to see if there's anything else ownership-wise that's worth talking about, or can jump to the FanDuel. You see anything different, distinctly different on FanDuel, Squirrel, when it comes to pitchers? Obviously, you're only rostering one over there as opposed to the 2 on DK. Anything kind of pop for you on FanDuel? It's a little bit different than DK.
Yeah, and I put this in my article, right? But Yamamoto is like the 4th most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, where you only get to pick one, only have to pick one. He's the most expensive pitcher on DraftKings. He hasn't gone a ton of innings, right? But he kind of got blown up his first start. But he's gone exactly 5 innings every start since then, and he's gone well. I think he's only 3 earned runs. Yeah, 3 earned runs over those 3 games, and 19 strikeouts. So that's not too bad. And I think for FanDuel, right, like I don't like always spending. I want to get like the 5K pitcher on FanDuel, right? Like the or I guess 6,500 with Tyler Alexander. Like the savings are appealing, but there's a reason why he's like the cheapest pitcher on FanDuel. Like I kind of want to aim for the middle, I think, on FanDuel more so than on DraftKings. Like DraftKings, you can spend up for a stud and then play some super cheap SP2. Like there is no SP2 on FanDuel, so you kind of want to pick somebody that at least has a shot to be decent. Get you some pitching points. So I think Yamamoto is like much more in play on FanDuel than on DraftKings.
It's really, really hard to like miss at pitcher on FanDuel and recover. It's happened before. It's just hard to do that. Ownership wise, most popular pitcher currently is Ryan at 21%, Flaherty at 17%, Sale at 12%, Peralta at 12%. Peralta is distinctly more than all those guys, 11-2 on FanDuel. Somebody in chat, Chris is saying FanDuel GPP not showing Peralta in the pitcher pool. Anyone else seeing that? I was in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. I shouldn't say /, just a /. And we were talking about this earlier, and apparently, I think it was FanDuel had DL Hall throwing baseballs for Milwaukee, but unless I miss something that is incorrect, and as a general rule, the sites probably aren't the most up to date with the most up to date information, so do not assume that they're correct. Peralta is throwing baseballs. It is not Hall. That is weird. Yeah, have you guys seen anything on that? It's Peralta. Peralta was pushed back yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He was given an extra day, and he should be good to go. So I don't really know what FanDuel's doing. I don't know. You seen that as well, Squirrel? I don't have FanDuel up right now.
I had not seen the DH Hall or whatever. I believe the lineup is officially out with Peralta. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's we've seen this before.
Yeah.
They get this stuff wrong sometimes. I see Danny's asking Jimenez the only one for the White Sox to be considered. We're not talking about the White Sox. They're not on the main slate. They're taking on Philadelphia. I've not looked at this slate at all, I'll be honest. The White Sox are terrible. But yeah, Eloy is back and good for him. But have you guys playing that slate at all? I have no thoughts as far as the White Sox versus Philadelphia. Just it's probably not going to go well because they're the White Sox. That's my thoughts. There you go. Okay. Yeah, Lord King is saying it's showing Hall and showing Eovaldi for Texas. Huh. Okay. Andrew Heaney is throwing baseballs for yeah, I guess there's an edge there. Not that anybody's rostering Heaney or I guess Eovaldi, but that does seem kind of weird that they have not figured it out at this point in the day. Anything else as far as pitchers we should point out here, Kirkwood? You want to give me the summary for the people?
Before I get the summary, I have a new, I'd say a play that's moving up fast up the ranks here. This is called the reverse arrogance play. The reverse Steve arrogance play. If a guy is that arrogant on a play that and I'll tell you that he said Mets are going to light that Yamamoto fraud up tonight. When I see
producer
that,
Steve said this.
Yes. When I see that, I gotta play Yamamoto. So Yamamoto is up there now. And I like him anyway, to be honest with you. The Mets, although the Mets have been much improved the last last week and a half here. So they're not as gutless as they once were, but I think he's going to mow them down. Yeah,
the K's have been really good so far this year for Yamamoto. Going deep into the games hasn't been his thing just yet. But 33.3% as far as the strikeouts this year is spectacular. No official lineup yet for the Mets, but we're expecting the Mo, Marte, Lindor, the Polar Bear, Beatty, Alvarez, McNeil, DJ Stewart, and Bader. Some power there. Of course, they're used to playing in a bad ballpark, so I guess it's probably a slight upgrade hitting baseballs in LA. But I like Yamamoto. Scroll, do you have a more or less in the field? You kind of with the field with Yamamoto? He's currently at 12% on DK. It's not hard to get over.
Yeah, I think I'll probably be over the field, on both sites. But I think he's especially good on FanDuel. He makes more sense on FanDuel than on DraftKings. It's DraftKings will have probably a sampling, right? But he's probably going to be pretty low on DraftKings as the most expensive pitcher on that site. FanDuel, I think he's solidly in the pool. I'm just confirming on my phone that FanDuel has the wrong pitchers. So we'll see how that affects ownership. I don't know if that's factored into projected ownership.
Yeah, FanDuel can't tell that I'm a human being, so
I
don't know whatever. Yeah,
press and hold.
You got to press and hold the button until the whole thing fills up. You got to fill up the power bar. Kirk, are you releasing it too quickly?
I've done it all, and I've had many issues.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think we've all had our issues with confirming that we are humans from time to time when playing on FanDuel. But all right, according to Danny, the Giants have been inconsistent. Any thoughts at the bats as far as targeting? Let's see, Giants. We'll talk about stacks in a second. I do want to knock out the pitchers first. Squirrel, somebody just tuned in. Somebody's just jumping on. They don't want to listen to the first 40 minutes of the show. They want to jump on now, catch the back half. They want to hear, what Carty and Cheese. I think, is this the first Carty and Cheese show, the two of them on together? I think it might be. I'm not certain, but I'm excited to have the two of them on. Of course, TJ Zwarych. That means that Batman, Spider-Man is probably lurking with some Spidey bombs as well. So you want to get those likes up. So once TJ comes in, he's coming in hot with the Spidey bombs. We'll give out our homers as well. We're going to give out the gutless rankings. We're going to talk about stacks. But before we do that, one more time here, Squirrel, give me the summary as far as pitchers. Again, I know you're repeating yourself, but people are jumping in and out at all times.
Sure. So I think like Joe Ryan and Freddie Peralta are going to be the chalk. They're good pitchers. I don't have like anything negative to say about them or the matchup or anything. It's just that every pitcher has been so inconsistent this season that I am, spreading things out. I think if you're doing single entry, there's an argument, and if especially if you want to go with one of the higher, more pricier, more owned stacks, I think there's an argument for like going with almost anyone else. Whether that's like Jack Flaherty's, really good at a cheap price. I think Clark Schmidt has some things going in his favor. Dropping down to that mid range, I think, is probably what I'm going to do, and maybe take some of that. We have, pretty high ownership on Joe Ryan and Freddie Peralta. I'll drop down some of that and spend it on like, Chris Sale. I think there's an argument for him. Probably going to spread it out if I'm multi-entering. And then, if I'm doing single entry, maybe want to avoid those top pitchers. I don't have anything negative to say about them other than I think they're going to be higher owned than their chances of really being the top pitcher on the slate.
Just looking at the plate IQ stuff for Flaherty, a lot of green for Minnesota as far as ISO and WOBA, but a lot of red as far as strikeouts. It just feels like an interesting time to maybe get over on Minnesota stacks and get over on Flaherty, like obviously in different iterations, different lineups, but kind of like a Hunter Green type where I like to get over on Hunter Green, both rostering him and on picking on him, depending on how those results play out. Okay. Kirkwood, anything else as far as pitchers?
No, it's I agree with Squirrel. I mean, those two mid-range pitchers I do like. I know Cheese it's kind of feels like it's Squirrel versus Cheese night. Because Cheese's article was all about avoiding the mid-range today, but I don't know if Flaherty he did like Flaherty. So, but I like Schmidt and Flaherty. Those are my two guys if I don't play Joe Ryan or Peralta. I don't think I need to go down to go to Rodriguez, but sure, go for it. Good play, just because it's so cheap. But then I'm not playing Dean Kramer.
He's a nice guy, as far as I know.
And I'm not playing Joe Boyle.
Yeah, Boyle's a rough name. I don't want to roster a guy named Boyle. I don't know. You got to be really good for me to pay attention. I guess I'll roster this guy. By the way, myself, yourself, Squirrel, all three of us were a part of the rankings today, and Cheese. So the four of us on the shows today, we have our consensus rankings. It is for DK, Peralta, Ryan, Flaherty, Sale, Yamamoto, Schmidt, Rodriguez, Snell, and Kramer got a little bit of love, and Gibson got a little bit of love. But it's pretty condensed, right? It's like the ones you want, the ones you don't want. Let's talk about stacks. And speaking of consensus stuff as far as stacks, well, I guess we got to give it an update. I didn't have a chance to update my stacks with Seattle, but I guess Dave Potts is already all over it, but we'll have to clean that up and change this as we get off because Colorado and Seattle, if you guys missed it, that game is postponed. Atlanta number one consensus-wise, the Yankees number two, then the Dodgers, then Baltimore, then Toronto. Scroll, you're the only one with Toronto. Talk about that. Is that just you never really know what a knuckleball is going to do? Is that what you're betting on?
I think they're a road team. They've got some power. I wrote them up in my article. Facing Matt Waldron, like nothing I really want to avoid there. So I think they'll see really low ownership. That article I do like a top overall stack which I had is the Yankees, and that's like ownership considered. So like expert rankings tend to be more like cash game stacks. Like what team am I seeing more of in my cash game lineups? The article I try to do like a little bit of GPP thinking, put like a stack like the Yankees, it can be higher owned as the top overall stack, and then go with some like things that are maybe a little bit off the board. And so I had Toronto, pretty cheap on FanDuel in particular. Exactly. Nothing I want to avoid picking on with Matt Waldron. He's a righty, but like Toronto has some right-handed hitters that are kind of reverse splitsy. So like Vlad Guerrero in particular is the one that kind of jumped off the page, like being consistently better against right-handed pitching is his career. And then, George Springer leading off. David Schneider hits righties pretty well. And then, if you want to stick in like a Dalton Varsho, take one of the left-handed bats. I think they make for an interesting stack. And people don't go that far down like the implied run list generally in their stacks. And so they're like stacks down there. You can get some good leverage.
Where are they at? There was 20, now there's 18. Where do you have Toronto as far as the implied team total for Toronto? Like 12 or 13, I'm just guessing.
I think they're ninth.
The ninth? Okay. Yeah, I know you Oakland, I saw it in your article. Where was Oakland, like 14 or 15 or 16, something like that?
They're really I think 17th now, the 18 teams. But Oakland's a really interesting game. Like this game's going to be interesting because like the Vegas odds, like prop markets, seem to be implying that McKenzie is fine. I don't know if that I buy it, and so it's going to be like you mentioned that 1.5 runs, first 5 innings bet. I think that's really interesting. I think maybe McKenzie, like strikeout props, under are interesting. Maybe there's a same game parlay thing you can do there. I don't know if you can actually do that because I don't really do same game parlays, but Oakland could really just blow him up too. Like we don't know what's going on with his arm. So, Oakland's still a major league team. I don't think Oakland will end up being like the worst offense this season in some categories. So I think there's an argument for like, picking some Oakland bats. And like when we talk about doing a stack, that's like 4 or 5 hitters at the most, right? You don't have to play every single hitter in the lineup. So the Oakland has like 4 or 5 hitters you can find that are good for their price.
Yeah, those hitters. Toro's is really cheap as a leadoff hitter. Geloff is a legit good hitter, a good power hitter. It's a ballpark jump. Anytime you get out of Oakland, the ballpark, atmosphere is going to be better for hitting. Essentially, JJ Bleday, he's got some power as well. Seth Brown's got some power. I think Langoliers is okay as a catcher, and he moves up the ranks because I was looking at the big dumper Kyle Rowley, Mitch Garver. Both those guys are crossed off the board, so the catching pool gets thin pretty quickly if you don't have salary for Rushman or Will Smith. I think Langoliers is perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm not playing all these Oakland guys. I'm looking at them like maybe a 3-4, possibly 5-man stack, but you don't have to make a 5-man stack. But I'm definitely falling for Oakland. I don't feel great about it. But again, the McKenzie stuff, I try not to flip out over small samples, but the small sample is so extreme. Again, 8% case. The swing and strike rate at 5.6%. It's not like, he's been really, really unlucky. A little bit unlucky, sure. But the walks at almost 20% is just outrageous. Again, the Sierra is a 1.5 higher than the ERA, and the ERA is 6.23. So, yeah. Steve's telling us do not broadcast stacking the A's. Well, look, there's going to be a couple times a year.
I'm going to add to it. He had a 2.4% swinging strike rate against the Yankees in his last start. The velocity is still down. It's been down the entire time. It's still down. He got 0 out of 27 swinging strikes on his curveball. He threw 27 curveballs and didn't get a single whiff or a strike.
That seems bad.
Right, swinging strike. His slider was non-existent, and he also has a trouble holding runners on, and the A's will steal. So there's a lot of upside in a lot of different ways. Now the down also that there's also the potential where he gets pulled in like the first or second inning because he's clearly still hurt. But I don't know. They're still running him out there, so it seems like they're trying to avoid surgery with this guy, and they're just going to keep going with him. So and maybe it changes, but I don't think so. So I like the A's, although I like the lineup today. I think they can run, they can steal, they can hit for power if he's off, and no one wants to play him.
I've talked to Bobby off air several times about Ruiz. Bobby's a big Ruiz guy. Why did they not play him? He's not playing. Like, how can he not crack this lineup for Oakland?
Because they're mad at him. Because there's some bracelet or whatever that they've been wearing that like is against their ownership. I don't know the full story. I just skimmed. I know it's you got to read it, but there's like some bracelet that the guys, he wore one that's was in direct defiance against the ownership about the team, and so they sent him down.
Yeah, there's a bracelet like created by the organization that's like protesting the Oakland ownership, and wore one of the bracelets during a game, and so they sent him down to minors.
Good for him. I mean, this is a whole other conversation, but Major League Baseball should not let this ownership keep this team and move it. They should force them to sell. Get them out. Start anew. Don't bring these losers, along. Like they're already tainted. Everybody hates them. And like, let's start anew with like, you can find some like good ownership out there. You should be, it's a privilege to own a team, right? It shouldn't just be like, well, force them to get rid of it. That's my own little soapbox. But if they're moving to Vegas, they're going to go to Sacramento, and the owner was talking about how he's excited to watch Aaron Judge hit home runs in Sacramento. What a weird thing to say, but it's so sad. I feel really bad for the Oakland fan base, whatever's left of them. It's just it's terrible. It's that hard to find decent ownership. I know it seems like we keep finding a lot that there's issues with, but I'm on Estrella Ruiz's side, but that's ridiculous. That's the reason why I somehow missed that story. But by the way, in chat, Brandon saying that they're going to Squirrel. Yeah, Squirrel, can you buy the team for Oakland?
Yeah. You said it can't be that hard to find owners. Well, you got to find somebody that has $1 billion. So it's be difficult. I'm a little bit out of that league.
LeBron probably be interested in some baseball, right? I don't know. Magic Johnson, he's already part of the Dodgers. Got to be some athletes out there that getting some money. But early A-Rods owns the Minnesota Timberwolves to some extent, right?
From what I understand, it's tough with Major League Baseball. It's the old boys club they've referred to as. I don't know much about it, but I understand it's pretty tough to get in. Get
Mark Cuban in there. He sold his basketball stuff. Once upon a time, he was talking about buying the Cubs. That was a long time ago. I guess that never happened. So they're talking about Brown potential. Yeah, Ohtani can buy the team. Well, he doesn't have the money until like 30 years from now. But yeah, put on layaway or something.
That's why rumor is that's potentially why he was gambling. Rumor. I say rumor.
So Brandon in chat says Brown gets pinch hit for when a reliever comes in. So Cleveland only has one lefty in their bullpen, Tim Herron. He pitched yesterday through 15 pitches. That doesn't mean he's available today, I would imagine. There's only one lefty. He's not like a long man. He's the middle relief guy. So, there's not a lot of lefties coming in is the point. There's just one guy. Is it possible? Sure. But this bullpen is not loaded up with lefties. All right. How about the top stacks? Your favorite stack today, Squirrel, all things considered, is who? I just wanted to talk about Oakland and some other stuff as well. But your favorite stack on the board, it was the Yankees you wrote about? I feel like it was the Yankees.
Yeah, it is the Yankees, still the Yankees. I think they're going to see higher ownership than I would like. I'd like to take some really off the board team and that's my top stack. Yankees are facing what is not a great left-handed pitcher in Yankee Stadium with that lineup. The right-handed hitters to just crush lefties. That seems like a bad situation. Like I would not want to be a baseball in Yankee Stadium today because I'm going to get hit out of the park.
Where are you at as far as the Yankees, Kirkwood?
Yeah, they can be gutless. I like them. I tell you, who I would never play anymore is Anthony Rizzo.
It might be over for him. It might be over.
Well, the second you say that, it always turns. You said that with Arenado, and he homered that night.
Well, he's not never going to homer again.
It was literally the night you're like, it's over for Arenado. You're like, it's over. I think it's over. The writing's on the wall, and he literally homers that night for me. It was beautiful. But and he's doing okay this season. But it's Stanton and Judge. It's like in Volpe because he's cheaper and you can get him in Gleyber Torres. Play those guys. I don't really want to pay $6K for Soto and a lefty on lefty. But
you don't want any walks?
No, not really. So but my favorite is the Braves, and I'll tell you why. Well, we know Haney gives up bombs, right? But besides all that, my dew point model, beta, of course, trademark, patent pending. But anyway, it loves Atlanta tonight. It's grading on a curve because of we don't have typically, but this weather will this holds up for even in the summer with you got 80 degrees out there. You've got a nice decent dew. You got some nice humidity going. You got about 8 to 9 miles per hour blowing out to left. So Acuna, you got Arcia batting up in the order to save a little salary. It's nice there, batting second, swinging a good bat. And you've got Austin Riley feels like an easy home run call tonight. Duvall with the platoon batting down at 6th. So
Possible hook for Kelenic at some point. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and if you wanna do a reach around, the old reach around,
David Fletcher.
2.3K. Why not? Why not? Slap a couple
he's just
singles.
cheap, but like he stinks.
Slap a couple singles with some runners in scoring position. That's all you need for 2.3K, and then it helps you fill that stack out.
Squirrel Braves.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Braves. I like the Yankees a little bit more, but I agree. I feel like you have to pay up more for the for the hitters that I want with Atlanta. But yeah, I don't know, and I don't know. I don't love like the going for the hitters that don't have a lot of power, like Garcia. Like it seems like a way to get zero cheaper than than otherwise. So I don't know, but I like the Yankees better, but Atlanta's fine.
So not to actually use Squirrel, but
Arcia's. Yeah, Arcia's. I was going to point that out too. Arcia's numbers are great. Like they might surprise you.
277 ISO, 130 plate appearances versus lefties dated back to last season. It's pretty strong. That's actually higher than Austin Riley.
423
which is kind of shocking. Yeah, 273 for Riley, 277 for Arcia. The WOBA was higher as well. I do think he's going to grab more ownership, like jumping up from the 7 or 8 spot to the 2 spot. But I'm perfectly fine with him. By the way, to your point, as far as Rizzo being washed, diving into the analytics, he's got 1 barrel this season and 57 batted balls. That's bad. That's in the 9th percentile. His X slug is 17th percentile. His X WOBA, the 21st percentile. 37 percentile for hard hits. It's not very good. 21% Ks. He's not walking anymore, down to 7.2%. That's a career low. I don't want to completely over exaggerate or over smaller samples, but we haven't seen him good for a while. He was dealing with that back for a long while, and last year he had the headaches. I don't know. I'm not saying it's over, and of course Rizzo can hit a home run tonight, but I don't feel nearly as good about him now that I did 2 years ago. And I think that's most people. I think.
I have a strong part of a soft spot for him because he has a dachshund, a dog. He's a fellow Doxy owner, so
okay.
I want to like him, but I've thrown in the towel with this guy.
That's it.
And that takes a lot from a guy who's
pushing the bush on me, but you're the one really. That's your agenda. Don't push that agenda on me.
No, but he's this guy. I know better than Dean Shavelson.
Somebody in chat was talking about Kansas City getting rained out. Is that? I didn't see it anywhere. Has anybody seen that? Feel free to jump in and clarify. Are they just asking? We got an Arizona lineup: Marte, Carroll, Gurriel, Walker, Suarez, Grichuk, Moreno, Blaze, Alexander, and Newman. I was trying to bet stolen bases against Snell, and the odds were not great. But man, if Carroll gets on, he's going to still second and possibly still third. The general rule, right? Lefties tend to be better holding on runners, but Blake Snell breaks that general rule. He's terrible at holding on runners. I believe he's given up 4 stolen bases already this season in just 7 innings. I was looking at some stolen base props. Could tell Marte if you can get it a 4-1, maybe. But there you go. There's your Arizona lineup. We did get the Dodgers as well. Dodgers: Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Enrique Hernandez, Pajes, Rojas, and Taylor. Again, pinch hit risk there for Taylor, for Enrique Hernandez, possibly Rojas as well. No Muncy if the situation calls for it, for sure. Muncy will come in, 4-4, bottom of the 7th, righty on the mound. It's Muncy. Muncy's coming in for one of those guys, assuming it's not, Betts or Ohtani or Freeman. You know the deal.
Hold on,
let's knock out these.
I need to interrupt for a second because I just gotten a message, a DM here that says from Chopper of all people.
He's watching. What's up, Chop?
He wanted me to relay to the people that the Chopper BVP suggestion of the night is Mookie Betts against Sean Manaea.
I never would have thought Mookie Betts was going to hit anybody well. I couldn't.
I'm just the messenger here. I'm just telling you what his algorithm's saying. And I know it's an algorithm. It's not just. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it behind the scenes. But
no, there's nothing that goes into it behind. You just pull up like Swish Analytics and it's right there.
No, that's not what Chop does. That's not what Chop does. He has an algorithm.
All right, fair enough. 29 at bats if you're curious. It's a huge sample. 10 hits for bets, 3 singles, 2 doubles, 3 triples, and 3 homers. A little bit of everything. Couple walks and 3 strikeouts. By the way, Arenado has hit 4 homers off of Peralta. If you don't think Arenado's washed, he's got 4 homers in his career versus Peralta in 25 official at bats. Anybody else? Gurriel, he's got 2 hits and 14 at bats for Snell and 2 homers against him. So it's all or nothing. Seth Brown, 2 hits, 2 homers, and 7 at bats versus McKenzie. There you go. There's your BBP conversation. We did promise the people that we're going to try to give them some gutless power rankings, Kirkwood. Do you want to is like, here's these 6 teams I'm thinking about, and we'll kind of debate these 6 teams as far as the order? Where are you at on it? How many teams get ranked? 5, 6?
Yeah, we keep a top 5 running right now. And
okay.
I'll tell you, it's St. Louis is currently at the top of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Philadelphia is number 2. Minnesota is number 3. Seattle is number 4.
Producer Steve doing the tiers for the people.
And the Padres are the 5th. Although they're making a case to get out of it, but this is using back data too from last season, so it's they're still hanging on by a thread in there. You know,
give that order one more time for me.
Okay, it's St. Louis number 1, Philly number 2, Minnesota number 3, Seattle number 4, San Diego Padres number 5.
Could you say it faster? Producer Steve. He's trying to do a thing, and yeah,
I'll just keep saying it over and over again. I'm not looking at what he's doing.
St. Louis, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Seattle, and San Diego.
Yep.
Squirrel, do you agree with that? I mean, this is I thought this was a conversation. I thought it was democracy. All of a sudden, it became a dictatorship. Kirkwood's like, these are the 5, and this is the rankings, and that's that. But what would you adjust? These are, it's Kirkwood's thing.
So that's what I'm coming. So I'm willing to listen to you guys and to change that and to adjust. That's the kind of person I am. Man of the people. So I will discuss with you guys.
I'd maybe take Seattle off. And I think you could replace Seattle. Like are the White Sox good enough to be gutless?
No, see, that's the problem. The White Sox are not good enough to be gutless.
No guts.
All right. I don't know. What about the Mets? Are the Mets good enough to be?
They're supposed to be.
The Mets they were recently ranked 4th, and they actually fell out of the rankings because they've been hitting some homers lately.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Seattle. I feel like they have some power and speed, and like they are don't quite underperform maybe as the rest of these this grouping here.
Fair, but they strike out.
Not really. Yeah, it's pretty good ranking. Pretty good ranking overall.
Yeah, I want to consider Toronto in there. I think Toronto should be somewhere in the top 5.
Toronto, I currently have 7, but they're up there too.
Why is Philly 2? Did you stack Philadelphia the other day? Is this recency bias?
They have they have so much power, and they just never use it correctly. And trust me, you bet on Philly, you're going to lose your money. I've done until you get down to the second half of the season. That's when they usually come out of this. But let's pull up some advanced stats too. Let's just see from a WRC plus where they stand at the moment. Philly 22nd in this lineup should not be 22nd in WRC plus.
Yeah, no, they've been underperforming. Turner's been. I think they'll be fine though. Like you say, I think they're going to be okay. But kind of stumbling, especially once he heats up in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, this is a free thawing. The teams move up and teams move down depending on how much they screw me, and we go from there.
Jared saying no Dodgers.
Dodgers have moved. Dodgers were not even in consideration, and they have actually moved into the top 13 out of when they were at the bottom because of their performance against Washington. They are not. They don't get any special treatment. They will be included in the gutless rankings if they keep this up.
Can you tell me if we were
Freddie
inversely
Freeman, on the individual player? I know we don't want to get into all this, but the individual player gutless rankings, Freddie Freeman's making a move there right now too.
Ooh,
yeah.
Michael says J-Rod for Seattle has been personally gutless.
He's
kind of stumbled up the game. He always kind of starts slow.
And he has like one. I think he has one extra base hit. I may be wrong, but
yeah, I think he'll be fine. But it's been a slow start for sure. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We got Crunch Time coming in about 5-10 minutes or so. You got TJ Zwarych hosting that. As far as I can tell, no more weather issues. Let's give a refresh to our weather. Yeah, Seattle, Colorado officially postponed. Minnesota, winds are blowing out with gusts around 30 miles per hour, but the temps are really, really cold in the 40s. Yankees models are hinting at a quick shower, but no big deal. Maybe this will get an update, but if it's just a quick shower, maybe if they do have to halt the game briefly, maybe the pitchers will still come back out. But who's to say? I am not a meteorologist. I do not play one on TV or anywhere. Do want to mention, never been a better time to get yourself some RotoGrinders Premium. You get NBA playoffs right around the corner, NHL playoffs right around the corner, PGA, MMA, MLB. We're right in the thick of it for the next 5+ months. We got an option for whatever price tiering you're looking for. If you want to commit to 6 months, 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price, it is $469.99. That is a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. If you want to commit to 6 months, you get a $250 discount. You can also get just off your first month of RG Premium, $40 off for a limited time. If you just want to commit to 3 days, 3-day pass gets you, 3 days for $19.99. Check out the links in the description for more information. Of course, you get access to SimLabs as well. Do we have some homers for the people? I will yield to Kirkwood first. Let's get some Juggalo bombs. I think we have 100 likes. We have to have 100 likes at this point. Although if we don't, it's embarrassing. But I've been leading.
I've been leading the charge against ban home run calls, but apparently I'm.
That's the people want though. You're a man of the people. Right. You can't tell a man of the people and not give it to them.
So we're gonna give a cheapish one. It's one that it's not gonna miss a lot of people's minds. Everyone's thinking potentially it, but I'm gonna say Adam Duvall goes yard tonight for Juggalo bomb number 1. I
have plus 675. The Ryan O'Hearn, former Kansas City Royal Ryan O'Hearn, he's in like the top 95th percentile on all like the exit velocity stuff. He's smashing baseballs this year. Barrels per plate appearance or barrels per batted ball events. I believe he's 3rd, taking on Alec Marsh. Alec Marsh, not a big ground ball lean. He's more of a fly ball guy. Gives him a fair bit of homers, a big ISO to lefties. A little bit of a revenge narrative for Ryan O'Hearn. I think I saw it at plus 675. I might have got it at plus 600 at The Rock. But I did put a wager on Ryan O'Hearn. That is me being ambitious. I started off with my ambitious one. And I think he's great for DFS as well, too. He's really cheap. And I like the fact he's not just first base eligible, but you can throw him in the outfield also. Squirrel, what do you got for the people?
Sure. So I'll go 1 Shea Langoliers, kind of going with our Oakland Tristan McKenzie theme we've been known throughout the show. And I've got one that is going to seem obvious, but like nobody's going to bet it. It's pretty good odds. Nobody's really thinking about this guy for DFS, but Adolis Garcia against Chris Sale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The great thing about him is he's all natural.
That is the great thing about him, for sure. Are you making Texas stacks, Will? It probably doesn't take many to get over the field on them.
Yeah, I will certainly have some Texas stacks. My 150 set. I think that's a team you absolutely want to get to. That's the kind of team that you should play. Nobody's going to play, and I'm going to be playing. I'm going to have more Chris Sale than I have Texas stacks, but you don't know what's going to happen. So you should have some Texas stacks.
Still waiting for some more lineups to come on through here. Crunch time coming in shortly. I want to see if there's any questions and knockouts. I'll
get 2 more.
Baseball. Go ahead.
2 more Juggalo bombs. I'm going to go with the reverse squirrel, Orlando Arcia. We're going to go with Arcia tonight. That's in the second top of the order here to hit one. And then I'm going to say I feel very strongly that Fernando Tatis goes yard tonight.
Yeah, if Rodriguez is going to get some ownership, and I don't think the Padres, they're gutless according to some. By the way, we got to take a screenshot of this past week, what we just made as far as the gutless rankings. I want to see how they change going forward, because like you said, they're fluid, right? Depending upon what lineups you play, Kirkwood, you could jump from like number one most gutless to all of a sudden full of guts, and you're no longer on the board, correct?
If I lose a lot of money on something, absolutely.
There's some season-long chatter going on. I really can't. I'd love to be able to answer. Is Joe Ryan for Emmanuel Clase a fair trade for AO only Roto League? Henry, I'd love to help you out. I really don't.
I'm gonna say yes, definitely.
There's a lot of dynamics. You can't say definitely. There's so many questions you need to know. How deep the league is, how deep you are as far as relievers. But I know Clase is a stud reliever and Ryan's a pretty good pitcher, but I don't know. Maybe Cheese can answer that, or Carty. Maybe Carty can answer that question.
Cam the man with a great question, but I can't answer that. I can't do that to my co-host.
Why? All of a sudden you're shy? You can't answer a question in chat?
Because I'm a team player, Dean. If I work with you, I want to be I say nothing but nice things and build you guys up, unlike some other hosts within the industry.
Brandon tell me Clase is not a reliever, LMAO, and Brandon likes to come at me on the shows, and that's fine. But if you come at me, at least be correct. There's a Clase on Seattle that you're probably thinking of, but Emmanuel Clase is the closer for Cleveland, right? Am I making this up? He's the Cleveland's closer? I think so. Or is this going to come right back at me?
My closer knowledge is terrible when I don't do season. I know season-long teams this year. And like my reliever knowledge, like I know like general bullpens, like I don't have to go chasing those saves for DFS.
Yeah, we got to throw Brandon in timeout. Brandon, if you're going to actually me, be correct. That's all. Those are the rules. He's thinking of the rookie for Seattle at 21. Yeah, that's a different Clase. And he's not even on the slate tonight. We're not talking about him just yet. He was a cheapie that was kind of sort of someone interesting.
Yeah, I liked him. Speed and power. Yeah. What's not
put a ball in the hole and you all of a sudden get a triple in core. It's just that outfield is so huge. Your guy Butto is saying Perkins is going to go yard twice tonight. I've seen several people talk about Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee started off the season pretty good. I'm not totally buying in. I think they're kind of fraudulent, and there's no Yelich as well. I know Kyle Gibson, somebody that we can certainly pick on, but what's your Milwaukee take here?
I feel comfortable because if there's one person in our chat, Butthole knows a lot about dongs, so I would certainly take his advice. So I'm going to play him tonight. So Butthole, don't let me down. And you haven't in your past calls, so I'm on board.
So you believe that Blake Perkins is going to hit 2 home runs tonight, according to Butthole? You can confirm
maybe that? a little ambitious. I'm going to say 1.
It does seem pretty ambitious. Several people. Dave's on the Brewers saying they're going to score exactly 7 runs, no more, no less. Checking to see if we get have any lineups kind of sprinkle on through for us. Giants and Padres. Okay, we got Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Profar, Kim, Merrill, Wade, Higashioka. Were we anticipating Higashioka for San Diego? Probably not. Yeah, we had Campusano in there, and Wade is another guy we're not anticipating. I'm trying to see who we did not project. Let's see. So a bit of a shakeup there as far as San Diego's lineup. Is Kim? Yeah, Kim is in there. And the other lineup we just got, we're getting most of them. Giants. Slater, Flores, Soler, Chapman, Conforto, Murphy, Estrada, Fitzgerald, and Ahmed. Oh, man. Slater is going to get 2 at-bats, right? Oh, man. I'm going to bet Slater under on strikeouts. This is my favorite thing to do. Him leading off. Montgomery's not going to go very deep. I got to see the odds on that. But my first thought is let's bet Slater under on strikeouts. So I hope he doesn't strike out his first couple times. Crunch time should be coming in here shortly. I believe, I don't want to falsely hype this up, but I believe this is the first time we're getting Cheese and Carty, as well as TJ Zwarych, and Spidey. We should have 100 likes now for Spidey bombs. You guys both, you gave 3 to the people? Is that right, Kirkwood?
I gave 3, yeah.
All right. TJ and Carty are still in the dressing room. They're going to be here shortly. They're in the green room, so we are filling time. What else is going on as far as the chat? Los Bravos. Well, okay, so take this with the old grain of salt. Los Bravos is saying Olsen, Acuna, Ozuna are all going to homer tonight. Also, Semien and Garcia. So I think Los Brobos is just stacking up the Texas Atlanta game.
If you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a game stack, Kirkwood? I know it's a thing that's going to.
If I could find, I mean, I think that game. I think my dew point, patent pending model, loves that game environment. I told you that already. So I do like both sides of that, and I think Sale is due for a little shellacking.
Mr. Gerg is telling me that Slater under 0.5 strikeouts is plus 135, and I am trying to log in to my account and getting that as fast as possible.
I gotta do that.
I want to bet that. Yeah. I think it was Daryl. I see Daryl in chat. Were you talking about Kansas City potentially getting postponed? Because I saw nothing on that. I would love for some clarity. But, yeah, would love to know.
Fettuccine Friday.
Oh, so that means Vinny P, he's going to go yard?
Yeah.
The weather's not very good.
He did it on Mozzarella Monday.
I thought it was Manicotti Monday. It's not Mozzarella Monday?
Did a lot of it. Manja, Manicotti, Manigut. They like that's how they pronounce it.
What was that? The pronunciation was.
It's not Manicotti. Like Italians call it Manicotti, Manigut, or Manigot.
Yeah.
And there's also mozzarella, mutz. Mutz.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard ricotta or ragut. You ever heard that before?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we can get some clarity from Dave Potts or potentially Derek Carty, as well as TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Here it is. It is crunch time. Anybody Italian amongst this group? I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions. But that's what we are doing. We're going time for the last couple of minutes trying to figure out how to pronounce some of the Italian foods out there. But Carty, welcome to the show. Is this officially our first Carty and cheese show? I think it is. Unless I missed something.
Yeah, I think this is our first one of the year.
It is. Happy baseball to all.
I can't wait to moderate.
TJ, you know what your responsibility? You got to beat Mill's lane here. You know what your responsibility is here, right? You got to
neutrality.
Well, no, just like typically, I don't want to.
Safety first.
I always like when you guys go back and forth, and hopefully something you guys will differentiate on some sort of opinion, and go off the rails a little bit. And you guys have a heated debate, but it's always fun. I enjoy it. I also enjoy when Roth is like terribly uncomfortable. He never likes when you guys disagree. It's always pretty fun.
It's a shame he's not here for this.
It's way less fun without Roth. That is far and away the best part.
That is a good point, actually. But we should make way for crunch time. Myself and Squirrel, we do appreciate y'all watching. Kirkwood as well. Go Heat. Go Panthers. Go Heat doesn't matter. They're going to lose to Boston anyway. Just whatever. Go on vacation. It's fine. You can lose to Chicago. Let them get pummeled by the Celtics. Okay, it's crunch time. TJ, take it away.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to RotoGrinders MLB Crunch Time, joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. Squirrel, you can hang out with us longer if you want. Oh, no, I guess not. He is absolutely gone. Dante, yes, you're absolutely right. I do need to concentrate on remembering that I'm the host tonight. I forgot that multiple times in the past two shows. I'm used to somebody throwing it to me as opposed to me being the one that throws it to each other to say. But before we dive into things, there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium with NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, and MLB. We've got an option for whatever level you're looking for. Get yourself a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. It's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months for combo premium. You can also get your first month of RotoGrinders Premium for $40 off for a limited time. Those that want to take a test run before can dip their toes in the water with a 3-day pass at $19.99. Check the links in our description for more info. Cheese. We got a interesting slate today. It had Coors. Now we no longer have Coors. Break this one down for us. What's going on?
Yeah, it's still a pretty fantastic slate. I mean, I think I don't know if everybody's bummed to lose Coors, but I think it was a good Coors slate because it wasn't like a mega chalk Coors slate. I would rather lose the obvious mega chalk Coors slate, but it is what it is. There's still kind of a ton of everything. So I guess let's just jump right into the pitchers because we don't really have much disagreement, I don't think, on the pitchers. It's incredibly clear to me that Ryan and Peralta are the top two guys. I personally prefer Peralta ahead of Ryan, but whatever. Like most of my lineups have both of them. Certainly on the DraftKings side, it's interesting that guys like Yamamoto and Sale will be sneaky just because they will be, because Ryan and Peralta look so good. These are all very good pitchers. On the FanDuel side, that discount for Yamamoto is a little hard to miss. Like, I really want to get up to Ryan, if not Peralta, but like, if you play Yamamoto, you can play pretty much any bats you want. $9,300 doesn't seem cheap, but it actually kind of is when you start building lineups. So those are my only three pitchers on FanDuel, personally, Ryan, Peralta, and Yamamoto. I think the Jack Flaherty thing is way more interesting on DraftKings. Personally, like where we're at, like he's like kind of cheap, but not cheap enough to really matter. So I'm playing Yariel Rodriguez if I need a salary saver and just hope he's fine. Like we don't know anything about this guy yet. And the matchup is not fantastic. Like I'm not searching for any kind of a ceiling. I think he's fine and he's 5K and like he's the only true salary saver that I'm playing. But yeah, Flaherty and I would say Clark Schmidt. I don't have an issue with Gibson or Kramer. They just didn't make the cut for me. I ended up with a little bit of Flaherty because there's this chance that he's back to being Jack Flaherty. Like he's been real close. Like I kind of think he's probably good again. The matchup is kind of weirdly good news, bad news. Like I still don't like him against lefties, and they've got some lefties, but they strike out a lot too. So I'm totally fine with Flaherty in any format, but I just want Ryan and Peralta everywhere, and that's mostly what I have. So there you go.
Carty, what about you? Who is going to be the go-to pairing for cash today, and then who do you like as some tournament pivots?
I just want to put out there that Cheese is so wrong, but I can't because like it's kind of basically exactly what I feel too. Like Ryan and Peralta are the top two in cash on DK. You play them on FanDuel. I think you save the 1K on Joe Ryan, but they're both really good. I like the Sale and Yamamoto thing because they don't project that much worse, but they are going to come in significantly lower owned. Flaherty at his ownership, I don't love as much. Like I'd rather do, I guess I'm a little higher on like Clark Schmidt and Kyle Gibson than Cheese is, but I think either, Yariel Rodriguez, Schmidt, Gibson, I think they're fine as ways to kind of save some money, get some lower owned stuff in your pitcher spot. Like Cheese said, Rodriguez, we really don't know what we're getting with this guy. We don't even know what kind of leash he's going to have. Like, is he going to be stretched out as like a real starter? Is he going to be more of like a, 3-4 inning bulk kind of guy? Like, we really have no idea. The bat's projecting him for, I think, a pretty reasonable, like 80 pitches or something today. And it still thinks he's one of the best point per dollar guys on the slate. There's definitely upside from his stuff. So I don't have any problem with that, taking some shots in GPPs, but Ryan and Peralta are the clear top guys, and that's pitching.
All right, well, let's start talking some stacks. Carty, why don't we stick with you for this one?
Oh my God, who's the producer tonight? Who's trolling me with these questions? Is it Steve? Is it Steve back there? Peralta struggles against the Cardinals for some.
I just want your thoughts on if you agree with this guy or not.
My thoughts are this guy. No, I don't agree with this guy. Sorry, Anthony, but
hey, Carty, I'm not trolling you. I'm on your side on this.
Historical stats against the team really just have no predictive value. Don't bother looking at them. They don't mean anything, especially a guy like Peralta, who's his stuff is considerably better last year or this year rather than it was in the past. So no, I'm not concerned about that at all. Obviously, it's not like the greatest matchup in the world against the Cardinals, but I'm not concerned that he's struggled against them in the past.
All right. Who are you liking for some sacks?
My favorite tonight is the Orioles. I think the Orioles, the Braves, they'll probably be the stacks that people gravitate to the most towards. Obviously, the Braves are the better team, but I think the Orioles are, I mean, they project basically the same, and they're a little bit cheaper and a little bit lower owned. So out of the top two, I would go Orioles over Braves. After that, though, you have the Dodgers, who aren't that much further behind, and they're going to come in considerably lower owned. So I like the Dodgers. I like the Yankees. In terms of like cheaper stuff, that's going to be a little sneakier. I think like Guardians, Blue Jays, even some Oakland A's tonight. I don't mind at all against Tristan McKenzie, who is apparently pitching through a UCL injury. Instead of getting Tommy John surgery, he's just throwing with lower velocity and being terrible. So I think the A's at their prices tonight are pretty interesting.
Cheese, how about you? Who you liking today in stacks? I will also note I got some Spidey bombs for the people tonight. We'll drop the first one at 150 likes. So let's pump these likes way up for some home run picks. And Cheese, who you like for stacks?
Yeah, my only disagreement with Carty there is he said McKenzie is pitching with a UCL injury. He's not pitching. He's barely tossing the ball towards the plate with a UCL injury. Like, I mean, he looks so bad. It's like, I truly don't know what they're doing. Like, why in the world is he out there right now?
Makes no
crazy.
sense.
So I do think Oakland is the chalky, cheap stack, or if not stack, they're gonna have a lot of fill in. Like you'll see a lot of Butler and Seth Brown and guys just there's Abraham Toro. Like they're the team you can just fit in to fill out your higher end stack. So like I'm disappointed that I think they'll be somewhat popular, but essentially, so I just reloaded the ownership projections. I think if I'm seeing this right, like, and I kind of feel this way, there's not like a single batter even near 20% projected ownership on DK and only like one on FanDuel. And I really think that's what we have. I think it's just spread out. I think Braves, Yankees, Dodgers kind of split up the high end ownership, and then like Orioles, Royals mostly split up kind of the mid tier. And I do like all those teams. I'm going to say I slightly lean with the Yankees, but like Yankees, Braves, Dodgers, I see why the ownership is split up because I don't know which one's better. Like they're all expensive with the big bats. They all have obvious upside. Where I'm playing cheap pitching, which is not something I'm doing a lot, but my preference is just to play the best bats from all those teams. Play a Judge with a Betts with a Austin Riley, and unfortunately, it doesn't actually work out that way to just make a whole lineup of those guys. So you end up with stacking with the bottom of the order. But officially, I'll say Yankees, Braves, Dodgers, Orioles, Royals, cheap Oakland.
We did just get a Blue Jays lineup that I think is going to make them even cheaper because no George Springer in the lineup for them today. And it moves Davis Schneider up to batting cleanup. It moves Varsho up to batting fifth today. So I think the Blue Jays lineup just got even cheaper for us as well. Keep getting these likes up. Let's start going around the horn position by position. Cheese, why don't you start us off at the catcher position?
So you're saying the Dalton Varsho hot streak is now moved up in the lineup? Excellent.
Yes, the Dalton Varsho hot streak has moved up in the lineup. And in fact, never mind. I'm just going to.
Yeah. No, I'll say in general.
How many likes are we at? 135. I'll hold off. Give me 15 more likes.
In general, I have no idea what to do with the Blue Jays. Like any major league team against anyone throwing knuckleballs is just kind of a wild card. So I'm definitely throwing some Blue Jays stacks in, but who knows with Waldron. Okay, so catcher is still pretty fantastic even without the two Seattle guys. Will Smith is one of my favorite plays on the slate at any position, and Rutschman is fantastic. I also really like Sal Perez. Contreras is fine. Shea Langelier for a cheap play is fine. But basically, I like these top guys so much that this is not your typical just throw a catcher in a stack. Like I think you kind of prioritize it and try to get Smith or Rutschman.
I like it. Cardi, what do you think?
I think she's kind of nailed it. Smith and Rutschman.
I told you I'm bringing the spirit of neutrality. You guys are going to agree on everything today.
Such a friendly guy. Like it's hard to argue when TJ's in the building.
It is. So I'm just going to agree with Cheese then and say that Rutschman and Will Smith are clearly above everyone else today, and I think it makes sense to get up there. But if you do need to save money, Shea Langelier is my favorite. Travis d'Arnaud, I like. Danny Jansen, assuming he's in that Jays lineup that just came out. Jose Trevino. I think they're all fine, but I think spending up today is probably a smart approach.
Jansen batting 6th today for what it's worth. Take us over to first base, Carty.
On DraftKings, where Ohtani's first base eligible, he's basically always going to be the top first baseman. Not a priority for me in cash, lefty on lefty against Manaea, but in your Dodger stacks as a one-off, he doesn't project super owned. There's definitely a lot of upside with him. Vlad is the high-end guy that I like the most. And on FanDuel at 3.2K, that's a really nice price. Ryan Mountcastle is kind of like that mid-tier guy that I like, 4.4 on DraftKings. He 3.2 on FanDuel. I like Vlad more, but I still think you can play some Mountcastle. He's facing Marsh. He's just kind of an underrated guy going into actually what is almost a power upgrade from just the terrible park in Baltimore that he has to play in now for his power. And on FanDuel, where you don't have to play a catcher, I think Rutschman is totally in play here. Even though you don't have to play him at 3K, he projects better than everybody except for Vlad and Matt Olson. So Rutschman's definitely an option. And I think Anthony Santander in the same lineup, even though, you'll think of him more as an outfielder, I think you can play him at first. And I think he's totally fine here at 3K too.
Cheese, how about you? Who do you like at first?
Yeah, it's nothing new, but first base is just not a superstar position anymore. There's certain days when it is, but with Ohtani, Freeman, and Olsen all in the lefty, I think it's interesting to just play those guys even as one-offs, just based on pure talent level versus ownership. But in the context of the slate, they're the least great 6K players. But the problem is I don't want to play any of these guys. I think on FanDuel, Vlad's too cheap. But actually, I don't even mind the double catcher on FanDuel, honestly, with Smith and Rutschman. I like them every bit as much as the first baseman. I'm playing cheap-ish stuff, like a lot of Ryan O'Hearn, Wilmer Flores, even down to Tyler Nevin as a pure punt, not because he's good, but because he's 2,600 on what might be the worst position on the slate, which is bizarre. I don't love spending my salary at first. I think Josh Naylor is also of some interest to me, but it's all just kind of meh, and I'm not going to prioritize spending up here.
All right, take us over to second base. Keep smashing the like button, and then after we go position by position here, we'll take some questions. First up, we'll go to the RotoGrinders Discord live stream chat. Second, we will go to the YouTube chat.
So if you have all the money in the world, definitely play Mookie Betts and play him at second so you can play Witt or Gunnar at short. Realistically, you can't it's pretty hard to play Betts with one of those shortstops in most lineups. So I'm gravitating more to Gleyber Torres and Zach Geloff. Those are kind of my main two guys. Everyone else is fine to me in a stack. And I don't have any particular issue with playing Marte or Semien or any on their own. It's just kind of weird spends on this slate. The cheap stuff is, it's okay. I have I assume Biggio's in the lineup. I have some Michael Massey, a little bit of Julian. That's kind of it. Ideally Betts, but realistically, I have more Geloff or Torres.
All right, Carty, how about you? Who do you like at second?
Betts is the best. I like Geloff and Torres. The guy that Cheese didn't mention that I kind of like in that range is Andres Jimenez. I I think he's just kind of an underrated hitter in general. He's facing a pitcher and Tim Boyle, Joe Boyle, whatever, Boyle, generic name guy, who walks just like a billion batters. And Jimenez has speed, and it's an above average matchup for stolen bases. So I think this is a really good spot for Jimenez to run, for him to get on base, for him to score some runs. I like Jimenez quite a bit. And then if you really want to save money, I don't hate Winsel Perez for 2K on DraftKings.
That's a glorious name.
It's such a good one.
Yeah, like when I first saw it, I laughed for like 20 minutes because I'm a child.
Third base, Carty.
All right, third base. Top tier is Austin Riley and Jose Ramirez. I don't think they have to be priority spends for you, at least on DraftKings. On FanDuel, where they're more reasonably priced, Riley for 3.6 I think is pretty good. You can go down. You can do Manny Machado. You can do Matt Chapman. You can do Jordan Westburg in your Baltimore stacks. I think Abraham Toro, Cheese mentioned him, I think, when we were doing stacks, but he's definitely a way to save some money here at this position, especially on DraftKings at 2.9. I think he's a really, really good way to save some money. Willie Castro for only 100 more on DraftKings, I think, is a pretty decent way to save some money. And yeah, I do like Chapman quite a bit for tournaments.
Cheese, how about you? Who do you like in third?
Similar sentiment. Like on FanDuel, it's just too easy to get Riley or Ramirez. Like there's not really any reason not to, like in a cash game. I do like Machado and Chapman in kind of the mid tier, but you really don't need to punt this on the FanDuel side. Whereas on the DK side, more of my lineups have a cheap third baseman. Definitely Toro's my favorite. I have some Oswaldo Cabrera, and then other stuff in a stack. But it's kind of like first base. Like, sure, I would rather play Riley or Ramirez or Ohtani or Olsen instead of these cheap guys, but this is not where I'm going to prioritize my spends.
Take us to where you probably will be prioritizing some spends, the new best position for DFS hitting in baseball, shortstop.
It's incredible. It's kind of like the good old days when you had Garcia Parra and Tulowitzki and all those guys. Like there was a few years where shortstop was the thing, and like Witt and Gunnar Henderson have brought it back for as long as Betts qualifies, which he should. Like that's three of the best hitters in the league.
Garcia Parra had retired by the time DFS started, didn't he? I don't remember ever playing Garcia Parra.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember it in DFS. I remember it in season long, like the strong shortstop years. I actually don't know when he retired. Somebody can look that up. So on DraftKings, like the $1,000 discount to Gunnar Henderson is just way too good. And like, I don't really have any strong feeling between Betts, Henderson, Witt. Like these guys are elite, fantastic. And if one of them is $1,000 cheaper, that's the go-to. On the FanDuel side, I think I'm going to lean slightly to Bobby Witt. He's got that extra speed to just give you tons of points. I mean, so does Mookie Betts, but he's more expensive. So DraftKings, Henderson, followed by Witt, followed by Betts. FanDuel, I'm going Witt, Betts, Henderson, but whatever. Play one of those three guys. But the position is still good past them, and it will be very low owned past them. I mean, this is the right time to play Anthony Volpe if you want to do that. Arcia and Brave stacks, Bichette, Machado, Willie Adames. It's a lot of very good stuff. So this
you
is
didn't
like
even mention your favorite player at the position usually.
Corey Seager.
Bingo.
In like a 1% owned Corey Seager. Yeah, who cares what the matchup is? But like it's such a good position. Like this is the last place that I would spend down.
Yeah, I think the cheapest guy in my pool at this position is Orlando Arcia. Who you playing at shortstop today, Carty?
I agree. Gunnar Henderson, the discount is kind of egregious today. So I like Henderson the most on both sites. I like him a little more than Witt, even on FanDuel. You get the $200 discount. He projects a little better. Dean Kramer is a guy that's hard to steal on. So I don't love that part of the matchup for Witt. So I'll take Henderson, but they're both great. I kind of like Xander Bogaerts hitting leadoff for San Diego, especially on FanDuel for 2.9. Like I think he's every bit as good as Arcia. today, and he's going to be, I think, lesser owned because he's not on the Braves. I mean, you can punt it on DK with like Willie Castro or Brian Rocchio, but really, I think you're trying to get up here.
Take it to the outfield.
Oh, hey, let me jump in for a sec because we finally got the question that I forgot to bring up. For whatever reason, FanDuel has not had Freddie Peralta listed as a starter all day. You got to search for him and play him. Freddie Peralta is starting, and that FanDuel is just doing a thing where they have DL Hall listed. So do not be alarmed if you don't see Freddie Peralta, but go look for him if you're trying to play him. So there you go.
What kind of impact do you think that's going to have on his ownership, Cheese?
I do think it'll have a little, but I think enough people are just using lineup builders and throwing it in that'll play him. But for hand build, I mean, I've gotten like 10 questions on him in the last hour. And so people are noticing. I think it'll knock him a little bit more. Like he was already not chalk because of the salary. And yeah, I think it knocks him a little more. It does make me boost him a tad more.
Makes sense.
We are over 150 likes, so it's time for Spidey Bomb number 1. And I'll save the original Spidey Bomb number 1 for 2 just because this one got brought up. It's a hot streak for my guy, Derek Carty. Dalton Varsho, Spidey Bomb number 1 today, batting 5th. His issue, the only thing this dude can't hit, and he is terrible at it, is a high fastball, and he's facing a knuckleballer today, so I think he's going to be knocking one out of the park. Second Spidey Bomb at 175 likes. Cardi, who are we liking in the outfield outside of course, the Spidey Bomb Dalton Varsho?
I'm not liking you, obviously, TJ. You come in here talking about neutrality. Oh, we're all going to get along, and then you use fighting words like hot streak. Get out of here.
Apologies. I saw a shot and I took it.
Top guys today, Acuna, Judge. I think on FanDuel it's pretty easy to get both of them. On DK, I probably like Acuna a little bit more, but it's really good spots for both of these guys today. In the mid tier, I like some of the Baltimore guys, Santander, Cedric Mullins, guys on the other side of the game, Ryan O'Hearn. Cheese mentioned at first base. I like him as well. I like him in the outfield here. Then the cheap Oakland stuff is going to be really good. Seth Brown on both sites. Butler for 2-1 on DraftKings. Davis Schneider for Toronto moving up to cleanup. I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with like a cheap Tyler Freeman. I've mentioned liking some of these cheaper Cleveland bats today. I do kind of like Varsho despite the bad hot streak logic. And
what about the knuckleball logic?
The knuckleball logic is like he's such a weird thing because it's not even like he's your traditional knuckleballer, like, you know, a Wakefield or an R.I. Dickey or whoever, where he's just going out there and just like tossing knuckleballs. He throws his knuckleball, like 30% of the time or something like that. Like it's just an extra pitch for him, which just makes it even more like hard to figure out like what this guy is. But I don't have a problem playing some stuff against him. And on FanDuel, Andy Pajes for 2-2. I think is really good. And definitely, I think Seth Brown will be the one to pick up the ownership in that range, but I think Pajes is a good pivot off of him.
Cheese, how about you? Who are we playing in the outfield?
I mean, it is the long-awaited Lawrence Butler chalk day. I mean, who hasn't played this for a while? It really is like you play one or two of these cheap Oakland bats and you can play everyone you want. Like I really think they're going to be crazy popular. They certainly, my ownership alone will make them pretty popular. So the three teams I mentioned, like the Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, you can play them any way you want, but it's the Judge and Stanton thing. Like Judge as the high end guy and Stanton with the discount that makes me kind of like the Yankees best, and especially on FanDuel, they're just too cheap. I think you get kind of sneaky-ish on like Fernando Tatis tonight. Even Marcelo Zuna outside of Brave stacks and Teoscar Hernandez outside of Dodger stacks. Really like those guys. On board with all those Baltimore outfielders. Adam Duvall as well as in the mid-tier. It's kind of the same group of cheap guys. I've got some twins in there as well, like Larnach sitting cleanup, and he's 2,400 on DK. But that's kind of it.
We got 10 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 2. So get those likes up. not that many QQs right now. So get your questions into right now. The only one in the RotoGrinders Discord is not even sure who it's about. It just says definitely a righty masher. So
Varsha
else...
for sure.
Oh yeah, it's about Varsha probably.
The hot streak righty masher.
So get your questions in so we can drown some of those out, so we can calm Carty down a little bit. And then of course 10 more likes for some Spidey bombs. Cheese, who are your home run picks today?
It's a great question. At the high end, we'll take Gunnar Henderson. Mid tier, we'll go Adam Duvall. And cheap, chalk, Lawrence Butler, homer, obviously.
Carty, how about you? What is the bat liking today for a home run?
Hold on one second. All right, so on the high end, the bat likes Aaron Judge the most to hit a home run. The Ozuna thing, though, I think is really interesting. I think Duvall is really interesting. And then just like completely off the board, give me Matt Chapman. I don't think anyone's going to play Chapman. I think he has a pretty good chance tonight.
I like it. Come on, everybody. Give me 10 more likes. I want to give my second Spidey bomb here. No Daryl George. The second one is not going to be Ryan Mountcastle or Gunnar Henderson. Nice try. Although I did consider Gunnar Henderson because I did bet him today as well. So I love that call, Cheese. QQ, are any pitchers today exceptionally easy to steal bases on, Carty?
Let me pull that up. Easiest pitcher to steal a base. Oh, yeah. Blake Snell is easy to steal bases on. Of course, you have to get on base in the first place against him, but he's definitely the best matchup today.
Cheese, with Seattle off the slate, does a team like Baltimore move into the top tier of offenses tonight?
Yeah, so they were that team, Baltimore and Kansas City in the musings. I had them kind of like their own little, essentially right stuck between the top tier and the second tier. Yes, I guess the short answer is just yes. They're right up there.
Carty, a couple of weather questions here for you. Any concern about the wind going out in Minnesota, or does the cold mitigate that for you?
Yeah, let me pull up the weather report here, but the bat's going to be taking into account weather. Yeah, 40 degrees, 18-mile-an-hour wind to center field. They're going to counterbalance each other a little bit. I'm not going out of my way to play or avoid that game because of it. I think those effects are going to be – the bat's going to calculate it exactly, but I'm going to guess they're going to be fairly close to offsetting.
And the next one, do you know if the roof is open in Texas?
That's a good question. I actually have not seen.
They're not playing there, so it might not matter.
That's what I was going to say.
The roof will likely be closed if they're not playing.
They're playing in Atlanta.
And remember, they just leave it open for away games.
In Atlanta, the weather edge has not picked up a lot of stuff yet so I don't know if it's on there or not. That might have been where the question came from.
Yeah. Very fair. Let's see where are we at for likes. Can I give away my Spidey bomb? Yes, I can. 20 likes away from Spidey bomb number 3. But number 2, it is Teoscar Hernandez, who you can find for plus 400. Love Teoscar. I won't even say why, but the guy does, let's say, against the hand of pitching, happen to do pretty well. No, I'm just kidding.
Tell us more about that. What do you mean? What are you getting at?
I mean nothing. A lot of questions early on in the YouTube chat about Peralta. We got that sorted. Yes, Peralta absolutely is starting. And so you got to search for him on Netflix, on FanDuel. You got to search for him on FanDuel, but he is there. Carty, who do you like more today? Baltimore bats or Cleveland bats?
I like Baltimore more, but you're going to save some money on Cleveland bats, and I like them a lot too. The one thing I will say about the Braves Rangers is the roof open closed scenario. Without a roof on that stadium, that is easily the best hitting weather of the day. Everywhere else is max 60 degrees, and it's 80 there with a little bit of wind blowing out. So it's definitely the best hitting conditions in that game.
Can you guys tell that I'm not getting as much sleep as I usually do? And my 2 jobs are leaking in together with the movies on one side and then the sports on the other side. Cheese, Flaherty, Joe Ryan, and Gunnar Henderson. Okay, let me start this because Gunnar Henderson and Flaherty are in both of them. Okay. So Peralta or Joe Ryan?
So that's I prefer Peralta, but they're both so fantastic. I don't think you're going wrong either way. But I'll take Peralta.
K-Town's Finest pointing out that Waldron is a beast in MLB The Show. People have tried to do that against me in online games, and I've got my butt handed it to me a few times, but against Waldron, I usually light him up for a home run or two. What about this Texas pitcher on FanDuel? People think Eovaldi is going to pitch. Will that impact things at all? Was that
Yeah, that was another FanDuel thing they had listed. Eovaldi. That won't change. Nobody was playing Eovaldi and nobody was playing Heaney. That won't affect anything. And it's not going to affect how people play the Braves at all. So I would not even think about it for a second.
Dean says earlier today, TJ was talking about BVP on his Agents of Fandom podcast. No, I was not, Dean. I was talking about The Bad Batch, X-Men 97, and Fallout on Prime. Those were the three things I was talking about today on the podcast. Jeff or Schrinder at second base. I'm assuming that's Giloff or Schneider at second base for FanDuel Cash Card.
Jeff Schneider, for sure. Jeff Schinder.
I'll take Geloff, although I do think there are other viable second basemen. Like I really like just finding the money to get up to Jimenez. I like Bogarts. I like Cronenworth. But I'd take Geloff first of those two.
10 minutes left to lock. Get your lineups in, get your questions in, and get those likes up. Who's your favorite sneaky snack to win a tournament on DraftKings, Cheese?
Did you say sneaky?
Yes, sneaky tournament stack for DraftKings.
Sneaky would be Arizona.
I like that a lot. FanDuel Cash, last piece, Carty. Seth Brown or Buxton?
Seth Brown, I think. What is Buxton?
That's weird, isn't it?
Doesn't that feel crazy to say?
While that one's brought up, like, real question, is the bat at all worried about Buxton yet?
Well, let me pull up a projection on him because I haven't really seen much of him today. And
it slipped a little, but I mean, it's not long, but man, it's ugly looking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the bat likes Seth Brown just straight up more, I think, today, which is pretty wild.
The bat has Rodriguez projected for just under 12 points, but somebody wants to know, Cheese, can he get 15? This is me pitting you against each other.
Sure, he absolutely could get 15, but like essentially I'm playing him for the 12 points. Like I will take 12 points for 5K. That's just what I'm thinking. Like, yes, he can very easily get 15, but if he gets 10 to 12, I am okay with it.
Is Arizona a top 5 stack for you today, Cheese? And is Christian Walker going to homer?
They're not quite top 5. I like them, in larger field stuff, getting sneaky, but no, they're not top 5. Is Christian Walker going to homer? I mean, probably not, but it's not out of the realm of reasonable possibility.
Daryl George, all the way from South Carolina, has roasted me in the YouTube chat today. I thought we were friends, Daryl George. Dean trolling, classic Dean. Steve wants to know, what are your thoughts on the new Fallout series? I thought it was really good. Didn't like it, I think, as much as the masses did. The masses are kind of calling it absolutely amazing, and I just liked it quite a bit. And then I agree with you. X-Men 97 is absolutely amazing. If I was playing a Cleveland stack, how would you stack and which ones for DK? So obviously we're not going to give a full 5-man stack, but maybe give the 3 guys, Carty, you'd want to make sure you have in your Cleveland stack.
It's definitely going to be Jimenez, probably Jose Ramirez, and then you can make a case after that, but I'd probably take Naylor.
Does the bat think Anthony Rizzo is officially washed from Dean?
I'm looking on FanGraphs now. The bat has him as about a league average hitter, so not officially washed, but it is a little bit lower than all the other systems on him.
Sticking with you, Carty, for cash, best FanDuel cash play for 2,900 or under in the utility.
FanDuel 2,900 or under. I mean, it might just be Seth Brown and pick, take that extra 700 and put it somewhere else. I think that's the real answer.
What do you think about the San Francisco Giants for a stack today, Cheese? We talked about a little bit of Flores. We talked about a little bit of Chapman. Can you play him as a full stack?
I think you can. I mean, it's Montgomery's first start of the year. Like, normally he's not really the stack against kind of guy, but I mean, it's his first start. You always got to worry about the pinch hit risk. but like you got at least Soler and Chapman are going to be in the game, probably Estrada. So yeah, they're on the board eventually.
We got is the twin stack too much of a reach, Carty?
I kind of think so. Yeah. I mean, you'll get a little bit of Cheese's favorite leverage off of Flaherty, who's going to pick up a little bit of ownership, but I don't think that's not something I would do tonight. No, they don't project nearly well enough.
Cheese, can you play Rodriguez on FanDuel in a small field GPP?
I don't think so.
And what are your thoughts on Anthony Volpe today? We got a loaded shortstop position. Can you roll with Volpe?
If that's for me, then yeah, I think you definitely can. I prefer, Gunnar Henderson, Witt, Mookie, but I think he's kind of in that conversation, at least at the top of the next tier. So, and you save a good bit of money on him. So yeah, I actually like Volpe quite a bit today.
DK GPP, why don't we like McKenzie against Oakland, Cheese?
He is pitching with a torn ligament in his elbow, and he has 12 walks and 5 strikeouts this season. I do not believe he should be anywhere near a major league mound right now.
I'm trying to hustle through these YouTube so I can make it back to Discord, and Steve's asking questions about asparagus or Brussels sprouts. It's obviously asparagus, Steve. If you barbecue it, it's actually quite delicious. Brussels sprouts are always gross. All the way from South Carolina, Yahoo Cash Card.
Have you really never had?
I've had Brussels sprouts. I just don't like them.
But not well cooked, I guess. Brussels sprouts are delicious if you do them right.
Brussels sprouts are never delicious. Witt, Seager, or Betts for your Yahoo Cash shortstop, Carty.
Was it Witt, Seager, or Betts? Betts. Yeah, easily Betts if you have the money.
Detroit outfielder Kerry Carpenter for 2,500. That's your guy, Cheese. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not playing him today. In general, he is one of my guys, but he's not on my list today.
Ryan and Sale, all right, is a pairing for DraftKings single entry, Carty.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to Discord, FanDuel single entry, Cheese, Ohtani and Vlad, or Matt Olson and Judge?
I lean slightly to Olson and Judge, but they're very similar.
Did you know Olson, over the last certain amount of time, I think it's like year and a half, it has, I don't know for sure, but over the last like year and a half, he has more homers than anybody else in baseball. And second is Marcell Ozuna, right behind him.
It's a long hot streak right there.
Yeah. TK GPP, Peralta or Yamamoto, Cheese?
Peralta. I mean, Yamamoto is a very interesting play at like half the ownership, but I just like Peralta too much.
Cal Raleigh or Will Smith for DK Cash, Carty?
It's Will Smith.
Raleigh is rained out.
And
do not play him.
Oh yeah, don't play Raleigh. He is not on the slate.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Mets mini stack to end the slate, or should I just play the Dodgers, Cheese?
Just play the Dodgers.
QQ Carty, the Bats has Slater at 76% pitch hit risk leading off for San Francisco tonight. How good of a bet is under 0.5 Ks at plus 135?
That's a good question because I have not seen him popping up in bets today. Slater. Yeah, so it actually only shows a little bit of expected value. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't go out of my way to bet it, but I wouldn't tell you not to if you really want to.
Derek Ringer is asking if I'm skipping his QQs. I don't see any QQs. I just saw you talking about the Brussels sprouts and things like that. I see it was pretty good. I watched Cobb on MLB Network. I don't see any QQs. Derek, ask it again. A lot of people telling me how I should be cooking my Brussels sprouts. Ryan O'Hearn or Ryan Mountcastle today, Cheese. Battle of the Ryans.
That one's so close. If you can't use that little extra money, I would lean Mountcastle. But it's so close that if you can use that extra couple bucks, I would play O'Hearn.
J3 wants to know top 5 X-Men movies. If we're including Logan, it is Logan number 1, Days of Future Past number 2, X2 3rd, X-Men First Class 4th, and the first X-Men movie 5th. That, I believe, is it for QQs. We got 1 minute left to lock. Get your lineups in here. I see a lot of people asking stuff on or typing on Discord. Here we go. FanDuel tournaments, Cheese. Price considered, would you rank Olsen over Ozuna in a Braves mini stack?
No, I want Ozuna.
Yeah, I would think Ozuna there too. Duval or Santander? FanDuel cash, Carty.
Santander for me.
Yes, in case you didn't notice, Chinatown just realizing now Colorado Seattle is postponed. That happened a few hours ago. Don't get them out of your pool. FanDuel GPP Cheese, Chris Sale or Justin Turner. Chris Sale and Justin Turner or Blake Snell and Jose Ramirez.
As much as I want to get to Blake Snell, like I need to see him look okay first. So I would lean Sale and Turner.
I'd like to see him with a real leash first. I mean, there's a chance he's 75 pitches again today.
Alan, shout out to Alan, my guy, agreeing with the X-Men take, and also he won himself an MLB GPP yesterday while he built his lineups watching Crunch
with
Time.
Kerry Carpenter, no less.
With Kerry Carpenter, so shout out to Alan for the GPP win. And even though he agrees with Carty with the weird Brussels sprouts thing, I didn't expect Brussels sprouts to have such a big fan base coming at me. I'm going to be honest. I thought that was like a very lukewarm take, being like, boo, Brussels sprouts. But the masses are coming at me.
You can't say anything bad about weird food around Carty. He loves weird food.
It's true. I can tell you weird food stories, but it was more the wording. You worded it very strongly. Brussels sprouts are always disgusting. Like, yeah, you can make disgusting Brussels sprouts, but you can also make delicious ones.
You can
Steve,
make
tell
both.
us the truth.
I asked the question because honestly, I just ate a mix of both at the same time, which is incredible, isn't that? Two of the top worst vegetables, I just ate both. But I had to crisp them. Like TJ said, you throw them on the grill. They were very crispy. And they were both pretty good. But I do side with TJ. I think the asparagus was better.
And I would actually agree with the take. Like, I probably prefer asparagus, but Brussels sprouts done right are delicious.
Everyone in chat was saying to do the Brussels sprouts with brown sugar and or bacon, and that sounds delicious.
Some people were talking about some honey on there too.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Brown
Cheese,
sugar can fix almost anything.
That's true. True. Cheese, I know you don't play cash, but if you did, would Ryan and Peralta be your pairing?
100% for sure. Yes.
Alan making a Twitter poll to settle this between Brussels sprouts and asparagus. I'm telling you, if you haven't had asparagus on the barbecue, you got to try it. It's really, really good on the barbecue. What are your thoughts on the projection for Jordan Westberg tonight, Carty?
I mean, he projects decently for his price. Like, the Batches in general likes Orioles tonight. It's a good matchup. So I guess those are my thoughts on it.
All right. That will do it. We have reached the end of QQs. Thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. We will be back with some more Crunch Time tomorrow with myself and Britt and Tim breaking down the slate for the weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next time. Peace.